Our experience here at Utopiafest is our second go around here. It was the first festival that I've been to where there's such a small amount of people. The music's great, the people are great, the vendors. It's just like it's a really intimate show, a great way to catch your favorite bands up close and personal. Whenever we get a chance, whenever we're off the road, we head down to the ranch and record. We have Drew Smith, a great Austin singer-songwriter legend, producing the album, and it's been a lot of fun working with him. This will be different from Portraits in the fact that we're recording it from the ground up in the studio. We came off the road fresh and had a couple ideas bouncing around each other's heads, and we've worked them out from there and built it from the ground up.
Texas music scene's really diverse. I mean, you almost have to tackle it regionally, and Austin specifically is its own melting pot. That being said, I mean, Texas is like if it were a novel, it'd be a really great setting for a novel, you know. But it's not the story, but it's a really good setting for the story. I mean, there's such great people, and there's such a rich music culture here that, you know, like I said, you almost have to tackle it regionally and just kind of see what's hot where.
It's also really easy to be a band from Texas in the sense of like touring around the country somewhere along the road. Texas picked up a huge amount of credibility for bands and stuff. So if you go play anywhere outside of Texas and people ask where you're from, especially Austin, you say, "Oh, from Austin, Texas," they immediately like, "Oh, that's where bands come from. This is a place where bands are popping out right now." So it's really easy to leave Texas and turn some heads just by being from Texas. People like that idea.
I think for the Wheeler Brothers, it's kind of funny. I don't even know if we would have been in music if we hadn't won this one guitar at a shoe store. But after that, there was a serious fight, and you know, the guitar was smashed by Dad, and he basically said, "All right, you're playing drums, you're playing bass, and you're playing guitar." So after that, I got into drums, and I actually was kind of passive about it until about junior year of high school. And I was like, you know, what the heck, I'll just join the high school band. The problem is most kids do it at middle school, so I couldn't read music. You know, I tried out for snare drum and just basically went in to do like a blind tryout where there's a wall, and I just hit it as hard as I can, as fast as I could, and they were like, "Next." Which is funny, because I actually ended up making somewhat of a career of this. There's the educated one here in music.
I never didn't like go to school for it, but I just started taking. I actually kind of envy Pat a bit because I always wanted to be a drummer when I was young. And I remember I came home, I got off the school bus one day, I was in 5th grade, and I told we was on the bus with some friends. We're like, we should start a band. None of us played any instruments. We just wanted the idea of being in a band. And I said, I want to play the drums. And so I went home to my mom and said, I want to play the drums. And she had this really sly way of being like, "No, here, play this really soft, much quieter classical guitar that I have in the closet that I've had since college. This will be great for you." And then I started doing classical guitar and flamenco guitar in college. And then I honestly only picked up an electric guitar again ever since I started playing with these guys. All through college, there's no room for a amp in your dorm room.
Most recently, when Arcade Fire won, just to see their faces be like, because that's not a brand of music that typically wins sort of big awards. So and you could see the looks on their faces they looked so surprised, like, this is actually happening. Okay, and then they had to go play immediately after it. So I can't imagine going through that adrenaline rush and then having to like sedate yourself enough to be able to like keep your composure on stage. That really, I mean, it's giving me goosebumps talking about it. I thought that was so cool, and that's something that I think would be a cool thing to strive for. You know, like that's a goal. That's a real goal.
We're the Wheeler Brothers with the Grammys here at Utopiafest.